Hello, everybody. This is Football Sack, and I'm Coach Mayberg.
It is a large Sarge here.
Hey, Lord Sarge. How are you doing this night?
I am doing, well, I have to say, I'm a little under the weather. I got a little, winter sniffle thing coming on. Got caught up here in Virginia.
Yeah, sniffling.
But other than that, I'm pretty motivated. We got a big old win that I was
you shouldn't be sniffling
really worried about, but we got it.
We got it. So,
we got the win we were supposed to get against Dallas, against the Titans.
It happens, man. Any given Sunday, right?
Man, oh, man.
So one thing that I do like about this one is this is win number 8. And a lot of us called 8 wins.
Taking off.
It's now with 4 games remaining. It's like, can we make the playoffs or can we not?
Still the number 7 seed.
Yeah. Still like a whole lot of football. But we're going into the bye week. It's a chance to get all the bumps and bruises. Maybe Marshawn Lattimore can finally make the field.
Yeah, I was really disappointed he didn't make the field. I don't know. That must have been a pretty serious injury for them to keep him off because that was a pretty big game.
So when we traded for him, they said it was just a hamstring injury, which made it seem like it was just a strain.
Right.
I'm beginning to believe it was more of a tear, and nobody really even said it.
Yeah.
Because when you're out this long, that seems like a pretty significant hamstring injury.
Something more serious, right, Coach?
Yeah, I believe so. And I believe, they said the medical team checked him out. They got his medical records from New Orleans when they made the trade go down, so they felt good with it. But, man, I thought by now he would be on the field for sure.
Well, we needed him against Dallas, and apparently we didn't need him against the Titans because the defense played a hell of a game.
They did.
An amazing game.
Yeah. Let's go Redskins, like Jack Miller says. Let's go Redskins. Look at this. I'm wearing Redskins stuff today, man. I know I got the W on the hat, but I got Redskins right here.
Yeah.
So before we get into the game, let's talk about the Redskins for a minute because I heard that the logo has been uncanceled.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Coach, because I actually brought that up at Thanksgiving dinner to a bunch of Redskins fans who were like, what? They hadn't heard. So can you teach them? They're on tonight. Can you enlighten them on what's going on with the logo?
Yeah, sure. For those that are on who don't understand what's going on with the logo. So Senator Gaines, who has been the biggest proponent, who's in charge of, he's one of the main members on Congress that's responsible for like federal level land that can be used for public use. And so one of the things that he said, that goes for all federal land nationwide. Oh, so that includes Washington, D.C. And what he said was that he would never approve a bill for another state and be built in Washington for the Washington organization unless they brought back the logo to honor Native American Indians. Because for those who are true Redskins fans, that they know that logo is with 2 guns, white calf, was made out of them. And the Winslow family has been a strong proponent of trying to bring back that logo for the longest time. And now that it is uncanceled, it is available for Josh Harris to potentially use. Now, the word around Ashburn is that might not happen this year.
Mm-mm.
But one of the ideas that are being floated around in the front office is potentially having a throwback game next year where they can bring back the logo in like a throwback type of style, but will still be called the Commanders and not the Redskins because the name is still controversial, but the logo is now uncanceled. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to make that clear. The Redskins are not coming back, but the logo has a strong possibility of coming back at least for a throwback game next year.
Yeah, Jack agrees with you on that one. That's probably right. But, once a logo is on the helmet, you just know what these fans up here are going to do. You just know what kind of pressure that's going to be on the team.
Oh, it's going to be a thing, right? So, it's a trend in the right direction for the diehard Redskins fans that are out there. If you love the Commanders name, which I don't know of anybody, but if you like the Commanders name, it's safe for right now. And that's what I got to say about that. But I know everybody wants it so badly to go back.
Everyone in my circle wants the Redskins back.
You know what's crazy is you could be a Cowboys fan, an Eagles fan, a Giants fan, and they all still call us the Redskins.
Isn't that crazy? Even our rivals would prefer to play the Redskins than the Commanders. Isn't that crazy? That just tells you, man.
Yeah, it just tells you like where everybody's heart is. So
we're not going to get all political, but man, I'll bet this. I'll bet this comes back. It might. Listen, we might get the throwback game next year, 2026. Watch out.
Yeah,
the momentum is there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be interesting to watch over the next couple of years. And I will probably do a special real soon to go into a little bit more detail and what the potential pathways had. For those of you who have seen the Redskins stuff that I did before, that video is one of our most watched videos for a long format. Go ahead and check it out and share it with your buddies. But I will be doing another one here in the very, very near future. So, Lawrence Sarge, let's get on with the game, buddy. We had a dominating win.
Man, oh man. So Coach, I know you were traveling and you couldn't get in for the last show. And we wound up the last show asking, Shaq and I were talking about, what do we think about the win? And Shaq is like, I'm going to predict a win, but I have no confidence. And I'm like, I'm going to predict a win, but it's going to be close. And you know why I was thinking it was close? It was going to be so close?
Why is that?
Off the cuff, because the Titans offense up to that game was 29th in passing, but 12th in rushing. Okay. Not bad, right? And our defense has a couple holes. So they're in the middle of the pack for rushing. I didn't think they'd have a good pass game. But the defense was an entirely different situation. So they're ranked defensively in pass yards per game #1 on defense. Total yards per game #2 across the NFL on defense. Run yardage #9. Defensive yards allowed 274 a game, and their rushing was less than 100 yards a game that they allowed. So I'm sitting there watching this game going, there ain't no our offense better come out and do something, because this is a tough defense. This is going to be a tough defensive battle. They're going to come to win because they got nothing to lose. Just kind of like Dallas. I'm like, oh dear God, but this looks a lot better than Dallas did. So what do we do? We come out, and what are the first 2 plays we do?
Let's not get there yet. Like, I want to talk about the other part of it now. I think that was fair assessment by what you have breaking down, that it would have been a close game. I think that that's fair. I think obviously the stats showed something completely different, and they came out extremely balling out there. But like, you're right. So you want to talk about the first couple of plays of the game? Let's go for it.
So they came out passing, and the first one they hit was Terry, Scary Terry, which I was like, there we go. Now we're going to start the game and hit our #1 wide receiver. There we go. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, for some reason in those plays, they had a lot of man-up coverage. I was shocked by that, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, every other team that we played against has bracketed him. For some reason, the Titans didn't feel like they needed to bracket him as much. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they were doing it, sometimes that they weren't. And I was a little shocked by that, actually.
Yeah. And then on play #3, guess who showed up to run the ball? B-Rob. With his first 40-yard run for a TD.
Hey, so we've said this all year. Yeah, no, I'm not shocked by that. So, like, we've been saying that all year. This is a different football team when B-Rob's in the game. When B-Rob's there, we have a solid run game. When he's not there, we don't.
Yeah.
If we have him in the game, and, he rushed for over 100 yards in this game by himself, right? Yep. It is a different football team with B-Rob in there. There's no other running back we have on our roster that can do what B-Rob does. Yep. Now, Chris Rodriguez had a good game. He almost had 100 yards, but that's like not normal, right? That's after it's been softened up quite a bit. B-Rob is a difference maker. By far, him in the game, we pound and it opens everything else up.
Yep. I agree. And I'll tell you, Rodriguez was 13 for 94.
Yep.
B-Rob was 16 for 103.
But that 103 was a lot harder than the 94.
Yeah, McNichols came out with 3 first down runs. So they were passing the ball around on the running game, and I think it was a very effective rushing attack that they had developed. Frankly,
yeah, I do. I agree. It all starts with B-Rob though, because believe me, his 100 some yards is a lot harder yards than Chris Rodriguez's 90 plus yards, because it is the initial contact, it is initial beating down of the defense. Those are harder yards to come by. That defense was softened up by the time Chris Rodriguez got a majority of his yards. So, like, it's the same thing with the passing game. Like, when I saw Daniels with a passing game, he spread the ball to a lot of different receivers, right? So, it was good to see how he was spreading the ball out quite a bit.
Well, Coach Mad Mike, I want to disagree with you there. You know why?
Yeah, why is that? You'd be wrong, but go ahead.
Because Luke Skywalker only had 2 targets for 13 yards. Ertz only had 3, but he got a touchdown. Benson not only had 1 for 3 yards, and Robinson had 1 for 6. He dropped 1.
Right.
So yeah, were there attempts to every single guy that could catch a ball? Yeah, but where did they go the most? Where did they go the most, Coach?
Well, obviously you're going to go to your number 1 receiver, but like I always try to look at like who's their number 2. And previously Noah Brown's been that guy who had 3 receptions, but they sprinkled in Diami. So between those 2, you have 7 receptions, right? Zach Ertz, yeah, he only had 3. I would have liked to have seen him get to Zach Ertz a little bit more often for the strong tight end, because Benson Knight, I don't know what's going on with him, but they're not developing him. He's like really not there. His little one catch is like a joke, right? But Zach Ertz did score a touchdown on the one play. And when you look at that, that's 10 receptions between Diami, Noah, and Zach. So that's a good compliment to Terry McLaurin. And it wasn't like a strong number 2. It was using different guys different way. Even Zacharias had 3 receptions. Now, these are short yardage plays, which I don't like because it tells me they're just doing a bunch of little dink and dunk garbage.
Yeah.
But it was enough to sustain for them to score 3 passing touchdowns, which I'm happy.
Everyone got a touch. I agree. And the one thing we did different from the last 3 games is Terry got more attempts than all the other games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you're right. Because when that doesn't happen, our passing game's not working. Because the other guys are not strong enough to be out there to carry on a workload.
Yeah.
Nothing of significance, right? So what I do like is what Jack said. The overall rushing, when you had it there, and you mentioned it before. What did you say we were against the rush? Like they were giving up. The Titans were giving up less than 100 yards rushing a game.
Yeah.
We put up 267 according to Jack Miller, and he's absolutely right. And a lot of those is B-Rob and Rodriguez, but when you calculate them all up, that's incredible rushing yards.
It's insane.
Yeah. Their ranking sure did drop.
And finally, we had the running back core produce more yards than our quarterback did in the run.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, imagine that.
Imagine what that does to your offense.
Yeah. I will say, like, when I looked at him, I'm not still real happy with what Jaden Daniels do. Like, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. Like, I wanted him rolling out a lot more and only running more at the rollout, which he's doing. He's doing everything I wanted him to do. But instead of throwing the ball away, he's still trying to run, and he's not always keeping his chin up, looking down for the receivers. Sometimes when he gets out there to that sideline, he's looking for that first down marker. There's receivers open on some of those bootlegs that he's running. And I hope he's looking at it on video. I hope he's seeing what I'm seeing in film study. There are receivers open that if he keeps his chin up and still looks to complete the pass, he can still dump it off to one of those guys instead of just trying to get to the first down mark.
Yeah. I really hope in a year or 2 that he develops enough of a relationship with the entire receiving squad, right? Anyone who's eligible to catch a ball and is able to get in a position where he's looking down and people are looking back, kind of like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? when Mahomes is scrambling, everyone's looking back to try to get a play to help him out, right? And that's how he's so good, right? That's how he's so good. It's not necessarily that he's the best, but that team is built to work that, right? They work back towards him. It's like something they practice.
Yeah, so, and they got a lot of speed so that when they do work at it, it throws a defense off because, you can predict a post route, but you can't really predict when they start ad-libbing and going another direction.
Right.
That's hard to cover, right? Especially when they have speed because you don't really know where they're going. You can anticipate a post route based off the way they move their hips, but you can't anticipate all the comebacks.
Right. And I'll tell you another thing I noticed about Daniels on watching that game. He and God bless Trevor. I don't know if you saw that hit on Trevor Lawrence by Shakir in the game with the Panthers.
Yeah, I did. I saw
it. That was one nasty hit. I think Daniels has learned a lesson because his butt's hitting the ground. You know what I mean? He dove forward on a couple, but he hit the ground. He did it well in advance, right? He's getting down. He's avoiding contact, which if you're going to run it as a QB, you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to recognize it,
Yeah.
He's not
too late, because, Trevor Lawrence, he pushed a little bit and slid a little bit late, in my opinion. Of course, it's still a very, very valid penalty, but, you don't want him taking a shot like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just crazy. All right, so, Coach, I have a question for you. So we talked about some of the highlights on offense, which there was tons to talk about, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that you saw that weren't on the highlight reel for the offense that you would say, wow, what's going on?
So one of the things that I saw was I just saw a little bit too much repetitiveness of running similar plays over and over and over again. It doesn't look like Cliff Kingsbury's playbook was that deep for this particular game plan segment. There's other times I look at his play, but it looks a little bit deeper, but not against the Titans. And the crazy part about it was it worked. Mm-hmm. A lot of it was working. And I'm just like, this is pretty vanilla. And it was working. So I don't know if that says something about the Titans defense as much, because the Titans defense should have been, when I looked at it, they should have been able to adjust to what was being thrown at them a little bit better. I was actually shocked for all the reasons that you previously mentioned about how solid this defense looked and how they were ranked. I didn't think that would work.
That's the only thing they had going for them.
Yeah, I just really didn't think it would work. And one of the things I have to say is I came in to start watching this game late because, I had a lot of other things to get going. So I had to go back and watch it. But one of the things that I saw was they were up 28-0 before I even started tuning in. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And then I'm starting watching. I'm like, how are these plays working? Mm-hmm. And then the Titans started coming back, and I'm just like, okay, they figured them out. They were a little slow to figure it out, but now they figured it out, and then I started getting a little worried. So,
all right, Jack's got a question. Before we get to that, I want to tell you what I saw as a fan on the offense. My two big problem areas. One is Sam Cosmi. I was so angry at Sam Cosmi this game.
Yeah.
That boy had a unsportsmanlike or whatever penalty, and he had it offside at a critical time. And I was like, Cosmi, man, you got to play better. You got to play better.
He's supposed to be our number one lineman.
He's supposed to be the number one guy, and those are two bad mistakes.
Yeah,
bad mistakes. And then of course we can't ignore the obvious. I know he's a sub, but Gonzalez, seriously? Two missed field goals? Seriously?
That's the reason why he's not a primary on anybody's roster.
I know.
If he was consistent and he was solid, then he would be a starter somewhere in the league. But he's a relief guy.
This week seemed to be the down week for all kickers in the NFL. I mean, across the board, extra points missed, field goals missed. It was a record week for misses from that standpoint. So Jack has got a question for you there, Coach. He's like, do you think we keep Kingsbury next year or do we let him go? Because he saw a report that Chicago had him up as a number one guy to lead the team.
So if he takes a head coaching job somewhere else, he'll be gone, right? I find it hard to think that Kingsbury would land another head coaching job so soon after Arizona. Usually they sit out a year or two unless they just are really one of the top-notch coaches that people are tracking. And I don't look at Kingsbury being that way. I think Kingsbury's got to earn his way back into a head coaching job. Usually that takes a few years.
Yeah.
So I would be shocked if he lands a head coaching job this offseason. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? Because there's guys that are going to be fired for sure. But, like, I don't think Kingsbury is going to be high on a lot of people's list, right? He might interview, but I don't see him necessarily signing, right? I think a lot of the main candidates that were last year that didn't take jobs, 2 of them are Lions coaches, right? I think that they're going to be in the conversation again. There's going to be a couple of college coaches that they're going to come in the conversation again. You got people like Belichick. Will he come back to coaching? His name will be in the conversation again. So there's people like that. You even hear of Ron Rivera even want to get back into coaching.
Oh God, I hope. Oh God, please. No.
But like, there's people out there.
Spare us.
There are people out there that are going to be fighting for these jobs, and I just don't see Kingsbury being high on a lot of people's list.
I don't either.
So the question then goes, would we keep him? That's a whole different argument, and he has a case to be made. He was working off of a team that had a high amount of turnover, a rookie quarterback, and oh, by the way, they've had a much more successful year than it was before he took over. So he has all the selling points, whether you want to believe it or not. He has that, right? So, and Jack saying Bill to the Cowboys is a good one, but that means, Mike McCarthy's another guy who'll be out there looking for a job, right? So that you have the coaching carousel where people start rotating jobs. Yeah. So some people say Mike McCarthy would still be higher on people's list than Kingsbury would be, right? Yeah. So
I say if we get one more game, let's say we beat the Saints, we get our 9 and we're out, but we get a playoff berth, right? We're in the number 7 seed, number 8 seed, and we get in. Kingsbury's locked in for next year, as far as I'm concerned.
Nobody's going to move. I mean, because then you can make the argument that we're going to be better once you have a little continuity.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you keep the guys under the same offensive system
100%
2 years in a row, and maybe they understand what Kingsbury's trying to do in a second year. Yeah. Right. So I don't see him change. I would agree with you, Sarge. If we get another win, I don't see us changing.
Now, Jack, you're funny, and I love you, dude. Yeah. You say Belichick's going to come back and be the Cowboys coach. I'm not seeing that. Belichick wants too much of the pie to be a coach.
I actually am going to side a little bit with Jack here. I think it's a possibility.
It's in the rumor mill.
Because here's the reason why I think that it is. I would say 5-10 years ago, absolutely not, because Jerry Jones was at the peak of his game. He's like, I'm the general manager. I call all the shots. Jerry Jones is getting really, really old now, and he's starting to realize that, he probably needs to step away from football operations as heavy as he has been in the past, right? So this might be the perfect time to say, Bill, come on in and fix this. I'll give you the reign. Maybe we work on this collaborating a little bit together, but I'll give you call the shots on it and help turn them around. Because look at it. A lot of the big contracts have been signed.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott's been signed. CeeDee Lamb's been signed. Micah Parsons got his 5th-year option. So, there's not going to be radical changes that Bill Belichick is going to be able to do initially. So, it's almost as if Jerry Jones has set it up to say, okay. But then again, don't rule out that he keeps Mike McCarthy either.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just – if Bill does come back to the league, I mean, God bless him. He's a fantastic coach, right? There's no denying he's a fantastic coach. But whatever it is, I look at him like Rivera had his time in the sunlight and Brady and Belichick had their time. And now that duo is gone, Belichick isn't. I don't look at Belichick the same way I look at Andy Reid, for example. I just don't.
Well, I wouldn't put it past Bill Belichick wanting to return because it's not about money.
Agreed.
For him, it's just that he's a football guy. He's going to do football until he just can't freaking move anymore.
Yeah.
He's one of those kind of guys. So
I think he's having too much fun shining his seat with his rear end doing commentary.
You think he's enjoying it?
Yeah, I do, actually.
I think he misses being in charge of something.
Oh, of course. He's an A personality, right? Of course you want to be.
Yeah. He wants his own little kingdom where he calls the shots, man. He doesn't want to just.
But he's too old, man. He's just too old. And I think he knows he's too old. It's time to step aside. All right, Coach. Let's talk some defense here. I would like to know what you thought about the game from a defensive standpoint on how we did. How did we do as a defense against the Titans?
I actually thought that they played really well. I will tell you what, I'm becoming more and more impressed every week by Sinistro and what he's been able to do. I was really impressed in this game because they moved him around quite a bit. And one of the things I was really impressed with was his ability over Ridley. When he was covering Ridley, I mean, he was shutting him down on quite a few different plays. And when they were having him cover that Westbrook, I can't pronounce his name.
I know you're talking about,
yeah, Westbrook Inkany. I mean, he got like one reception on him, but like most of the time, wherever you had Sinistro at, he played really, really well, in my opinion. And I'm really happy with how he's progressing and coming along. Another one I'm really happy with I've been seeing is Johnny Newton really stepping up. When Jonathan Allen came down, I wasn't real high when we drafted Johnny in number 2 because I really wanted offensive tackle. And then I was like, okay, I know he's a talent, but he's hurt. And then, went through the foot surgeries, and I'm just like, he's going to be buried in the depth chart. But then when Jonathan Allen hit IR, I'm just like, okay, it's your time. You better step up. And he's stepping up. Yep. So I have to hand it to him. And I will tell you more and more, I'm getting more and more impressed with Frankie Louvu and his ability. Bobby Wagner's still leading tackles. I'm still very impressed with what Quan Martin's doing, although he got burnt on one play. And then obviously what I'm seeing, out of the secondary, I think it's really, really improving quite a bit. And Jeremy Shinn, I've been a fan of him all year. The dude's been a wrecking ball all year. I mean, what do you think?
He's playing hard. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to agree. Sanders still had I thought overall, he had a really good game. But there was 2 major plays where he got burned. One was for the TD. He completely got burned and let it go. And I was like, what are you doing? And then he got a stiff arm and made him look like a fool. And I was like,
that happened.
If those 2 things didn't happen, he has a perfect game, right?
Yeah, but mistakes happen.
I know. But overall, I agree with exactly what you're saying. Overall, play by play, if you look at the overall production, I think he stepped up. And I'll tell you something up here, Coach. I know you don't like listening to the radio and all the talk show, G-Whizzer guys and out there, but Daron Payne's been catching for 2 weeks now. He's been catching flack, and he caught the most flack after the Dallas game because with Dallas having backups on their offensive line, $100 million in cap space sitting on the sideline and going against backups, Daron Payne had no production whatsoever. And they roasted his butt.
Yeah.
This past week saying, where the heck is Daron Payne? So I was actually keying in on him when I was doing a little bit of film study after the game and watching the game. And Daron Payne actually had a half a sack in this game, so he got through.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was something, right? There was something. Mm-hmm. So I think he did his job and he fit in with the squad. I think the squad did well overall. But I was, to be honest with you, with only 2 sacks, Payne with a half a sack, Farrell with a half a sack, and Louvu with 1 sack, 2 sacks against this offense? What?
My backboard is dropping down on my head. What the heck? What the heck is going on here?
Oh, my Lord. Your stadium's falling down there, Coach Matt and Mike.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, it's like a wrecking ball. I don't know what the heck's going on.
He did not secure his stadium before he joined the show.
I did not, man. This thing is like, I don't know what's going on here. I got like things falling down, like I'm all jacked up.
That ain't nearly as bad as me not being able to figure out how to log into the show last week and come on 20 minutes late. So don't worry about it.
What the heck is going on over here, Lord Sarge?
I don't know.
I didn't do no maintenance on this thing.
Technical difficulties. So overall, I think our defense did good. another point that I want that I
Can I
saw.
go back to Drawn Pain for a second? Because you're right. I'd never agree with anybody on the Junkies ever.
I wasn't
Like
talking
I never agree with them because I don't think they really understand football as much as they proclaim.
That wasn't
to
the
be.
Junkies. That was 4 or 5 different. That was on the news, local channels. Like
Okay,
where is Ron
let me
Payne?
disagree. Let me disagree, and let me tell you the reason why. Let me tell you what I saw.
Yeah.
So here's what I see when it comes up with Drawn Pain. Drawn Pain has been getting double covered on the line quite a bit. And it's because that is really the only guy to block against. If you can shut down Drawn Pain, you don't have much of a line action going on. Johnny Noon's coming along. He's coming along a lot better than what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The edge rushers still have a lot to go. You can't measure sacks alone. And what I see is almost what's happening to Drawn Pain is I see what's happening that normally happens in like a 3-4, that he operates more as an anchor than he does as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
And it's because of the double team. So when you see him and he goes, oh, wait a minute. Well, he hasn't gotten any sacks this game. He sucks. He's not putting forth the effort. He doesn't have any sacks this game against Dallas. Oh, he only got a half a sack here. Well, you have to actually look at, and I'm going to tell that for any analyst who watches the show or anybody else, look at the plays on how the offensive line is scheming towards him. It is clear they are trying to shut down Drawn Pain. I'm going to defend Drawn Pain on this one because when I look at him, I see him being the anchor of that defense because they're keying in on him. And until somebody else,
other people, right?
I'm telling, and it's because Jonathan Allen's not in there anymore. Until Johnny Newton speaks up, until these other edge rushers are really taken seriously. And I know that you can say, well, hey, so-and-so has 10.5 sacks. It's because no one really takes him that serious. And so now they got to Armstrong. They got to watch him a little bit more now because he's like making a little bit of buzz. But anybody who's scheming against this defensive line is going to go, hey, you just got to shut down Drawn Pain.
So you're saying Drawn Pain hasn't had the production up the middle of the line that we expect because everyone's scheming against him, which is giving opportunities to, Armstrong and Fowler and other guys because they're having to put so much pressure to keep Pain out that it's creating holes and opportunities for other players to get in.
That's right. He's the anchor.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I get that.
So when you have somebody else that they have to seriously contend against, and I don't believe that person exists other than Jonathan Allen, he's on IR for the rest of the season, teams are going to continue to scheme on that line to shut down Drawn Pain because if you let him become the wrecking ball, the whole thing breaks down. You've got to stop Drawn Pain. So everybody who's beating him up, I'm sorry, I'm going to defend Drawn Pain. What I've seen on film for him, he is doing his job.
That's fair.
He's doing his job.
Now, I've been a fan of Armstrong. I've been a fan of Armstrong all season. I see something in that kid. I don't know what it is. I see something in him. I see angry. I see motivation. I see go get him, rawr. And then I see him pull off an arm tackle and get burned this game.
Yeah.
I'm like, Armstrong, what are you doing? How did you do that? Like, you need to get back to basics, boy. Made me angry.
I think he is hungry. And, here's gonna be my critique of Armstrong, right? I love his engine, right? You're absolutely right. Like, he is going to come in, he's going to give you a pass rush like crazy because he's hungry, right? But it does hurt him on run defense. Because when you're going that hard, he's not really playing for the run, right? Now, if there's a run stopping defense kind of thing and they miscalculate it, right, and it ends up being a pass play, he's almost out of the play. But if you keep him rushing, he's going to give those up on the run. He's not a complete defensive end, in my opinion, that gives you goal.
Right.
He's just not,
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. 100% on that, my friend. And I think Luvu had another, again, he comes up every week. I think Luvu had another solid performance. He had a very solid performance.
Luvu and Jeremy Shin, to me, are my type of football players.
Mm-hmm.
They are freaking bruisers. They come in and they're going to hit you, and they're going to hit you at full speed. I just love those kind of guys. And I'm really, really happy that Witt and Quinn got guys like that because those are the type of football players I love. I love guys who are just going to fly towards you and knock the snot out of you.
Yeah, even if it causes a penalty sometime, they're coming at you. It puts you think about running your route as a receiver a little bit differently when you got somebody like Chin on the other end, that you're going to have to go against. And man, how much of a risk am I taking to put my hands out and catch this one? I'm going to get sacked.
Yeah, Jack Miller agrees. So he's out there saying the MVPs with Shin and Luvu. So I agree. Yeah. I like those guys. They're my MVPs for the year so far on defense. Because and then I'll tell you the most impressive defensive player outside of those that I've been impressed with is our rookie Sinistro. He's really come a long, long way. He's improving. My goodness, this guy's going to be a special kid in the league.
Yep. Now we can't talk about defense this week without talking about what happened during the middle of the week. And you know what I'm talking about, Coach. Who did we let go?
So I need to go ahead and give us your thoughts, man, on that one.
I want to hear what you have to say. I think me personally, hell, wasn't necessary to do it. Why did you do it now? Leave him on the squad. Let him. I don't know, but I thought it was a dumb move. I thought it was an unnecessary move at this juncture. You don't know what's going to happen coming down the stretch. You might actually need him. Poor performing as he may be, first round draft pick. I mean,
he's a first round draft pick, and to me, you keep him for insurance because you don't have a lot of depth to begin with. Yes. I mean, what? I don't understand how it's almost been vindictive in a way, like a band,
it feels like that.
A band, it almost seems like there's so much disdain for Ron Rivera, and there's so much I want to show how absolutely horrible that he was, that any and every decision that he made, I want to undo it.
He's the last guy out, right? He's the last Rivera guy.
It's like every first round pick that he made is gone.
Yep, he was the last one.
Yeah.
What the?
I mean, it's just unreal.
So was it from a head coaching perspective? Or GM perspective? Did you need to make that move?
No.
What did they get from it? From a coaching perspective, how did that improve the team?
No, nothing. You didn't do anything.
You didn't get a draft pick. You didn't get anything.
Because you're long past the trade deadline, and cutting him at this particular point, you did absolutely nothing. If anything, if anything, you let him go in the off season, and you try again in the off season. You cut him in the off season, right? You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything other than make you a little bit more shallow at the position in case the injury is. I mean, I would understand if Lattimore was a full up round and he was taking the field and you're just like, okay, I feel very confident where we're at because Lattimore's healthy and you got St. Juice that's playing well and you got, Abnig, whatever, how you pronounce his name. He's doing very, very well. And then, and obviously Sinistro's doing well, so then you're just like, okay, I'm okay at the position, but Lattimore's not healthy. I would have kept him around at least long enough for Lattimore to get on the field.
I mean, was that a pre-game, week 14 kind of, we know Lattimore's back, so I can afford this now? What did it hurt to keep him? Didn't hurt anything to keep him. Didn't hurt anything. Even if Lattimore comes back, you don't know how he's going to be, right? He could get injured again. And you need depth. What are the? I just didn't understand it. I really didn't.
No, that's fair. That's fair because to me there really wasn't a huge explanation of why that took place. Right.
I couldn't find anything actually.
Right.
Other than what you said, he was a Rivera guy. He's out. That's all I could find.
I see Jack there talking about him being in the USFL. You don't see any team wanting him. I would tell you as a coach, I would take a flyer on him.
Yep, absolutely.
If I was a coach out there, I would go, you know what? I'll sign you to my practice squad, let you learn the playbook, and I would sell it as, hey, I'm bringing you in here for insurance and work your way on my roster. Because he did do enough to show that he was a first round pick, right? And sometimes it's change of environment. Sometimes change of environment helps. Sometimes it's a humbling experience to get freaking cut.
Yep.
So if I was a coach out there and I would go, listen, do I have a spot for a former first round pick who's young? Yeah, I got a spot.
He's a depth position and cheap. Oh, yeah, I'd put him on my squad. I wouldn't even put him on practice. He'd be on my squad. He might be third or fourth and then work his way up, but he wouldn't even make the practice squad. He'd be on the team.
Probably would, right?
And a change. Exactly agree with you. A change of pace is. He's probably going to go somewhere and do something. Watch. We gotta make a note right now. We got to see what Forbes does.
Right, because I was as a coach, and I'd bring him right in my office. Hey, listen, I'm signing you to a 1-year deal to finish out this year. I want to see what you got. I know it's a humbling experience to get cut, but you're going to be given a fair shake here. I'm going to evaluate you with a clean slate. Let's get to work.
Mm-hmm.
And guys surprise you sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. He was good enough to be a first-round draft pick. You just don't.
He's young.
You just don't give that away. You get something for it, right?
But if a guy's out there,
that.
But there's a guy out there that's free like that on the street. I sweep him up.
Yeah, of course.
You collect talent like that. You collect him because you just don't know. Now, if he doesn't work out, it doesn't cost you anything to cut him because you got him for nothing.
Exactly. So I don't understand. I do not understand the head shed at the Commanders. That made another dumb move that made no sense to me. The timing more so than the cut, right?
Yeah.
Made no sense.
There's really no sense unless he was toxic in the locker room, which I didn't hear anything like that
at all.
So I mean, unless he was talking back to coaches, and I didn't hear anything like that. So it's just like, why? It doesn't make sense. There's something that must have happened behind the scenes, right?
It makes you ask the question, was there something behind the scenes like this guy's toxic? It's got to be something.
It's got to be something.
There's no reason to do that.
Right, but I didn't hear anything like that, so it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
It is weird.
All right. So, Coach, last thing we got to talk about, you know what that is, one of my favorite subjects, because it was a big week again for special teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you from a coaching perspective. Sainristil still has been our number one kick return, punt return guy. And that's how we started. And he did not drop a ball.
Right.
And all of a sudden, mid-game, they switched and they gave it to McNichols. And they put McNichols in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why'd they do that?
To reduce the reps on Sinistro, because when he's a full-time starter and he's gotten every single rep on defense, the dude needs a break. If he gets gassed, if he gets gassed out too much off of that, because you're running your butt off and you're taking additional hits doing kick returns and stuff like that. I mean, it's part of like rep control, right? How many reps do you want a guy to have? And again, I think the situation would change if you have a healthy Lattimore that you can put into rotation. Especially if Lattimore come in, he's the true number one corner, like people think that he's going to be whenever he's healthy, then you might be able to, but then even then I see Sinistro being the solid number 2, right? So he's still on defense all the time. So if you're getting 30 reps per game, you don't want to add that by putting another handful of reps at kickoff returns.
I guess my bigger question to you, Coach, is why would you even put Sainristil in that role? Why wouldn't you give that to McNichols?
No, I think
he had some problems catching balls, right?
Well, you want somebody a little bit more sure-handed for sure. Here's my question. I mean, did they not try out Forbes for that job?
There you go.
Because Forbes can catch, and he runs almost a 4.2 40.
Fast.
Yeah, he's a 4.2 40.
So what are they doing? What are they doing?
Instead of letting him go, and that you could probably use some help on special teams, why don't you say, you know what, you're off defense. Your butt's on special teams. Right? You send him over to special teams coach and say, see if you can make some use out of this guy.
He's got the speed.
He's got serious speed.
And he's got hands.
He just for some reason can't cover right now.
So
put him on special teams.
Let's see. Zach saying, Z-Man was scaring me this game every time he touched the ball. Yes, they did during the offseason with Forbes. Oh,
okay. So they did with the offseason. They work with them. Yeah, Zacchaeus is scary because, the dude, I don't know what it is. He gets under the lights, people start closing in on him, and he takes his eye off the ball, and and it's dangerous, right? Zaccheaus has made too many mistakes. I tell you what, Zaccheaus would not be returning any kind of kick or punt return for me right now. He's already messed up too many times.
Right.
But for some reason, Dan Quinn still has him back there. Like, really? You don't have anybody else?
And so they go to McNichols. Your 3 RB. I don't understand.
And I'm fine with
He has the breakaway speed, right? I just think it was a poor, like you said, Forbes should have been, you would have thought you want your fastest guy.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know what happened with Forbes. Was he dropping the ball or whatever? I mean, I don't know, but like I would have definitely worked him out in that position. I mean, I could see McNichols being in that role because he's very sure-handed and he's a bruiser and he could probably break that first tackle, right? Try to pick up extra yardage. So I get it. I'm not happy with special teams though.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did have. Listen. We got to throw a shout out to Owens for that strip on the kickoff return. That was an amazing, amazing job. That kid showed up and got us a turnover. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I will tell you, but overall, I'm not happy with the special teams. I tell you what, if you're the special teams coach of this team, I'm like, I consider if there's one coaching change is going to have, it's probably going to be a special teams coach. I mean, your kicking game has been atrocious all off the year. We've gone through like 7 kickers now,
except for week 1.
We have gone through 7 freaking kickers. Tress Way is Tress Way. He's anybody can coach Tress Way. He's
not doing bad. Tress Way is pretty solid.
He's solid. He's a Pro Bowl caliber freaking punter who's been that way for a decade. He's not, he is who he is. You're not, any coach is not going to screw that up.
Yep.
So, like, where are you making your money? You're making your money on your kick and punt returns, which are atrocious, and you're making your money on your field goal kicker being able to kick it through the upright, which has been atrocious.
Yep.
We have not looked good on special teams this year at all.
We looked a lot better at the beginning of the year with our kicker, and then he got. We're not going to speculate on what the hip injury was, but as soon as he came down with a hip injury on a kicker, Gonzalez is obviously not ready.
Yeah.
So a 50-yarder plus, okay, that's a stretch, but at 46 yards, you should be making that. You should be.
Yeah, and
Butker miss them. The Ravens missed too. I mean, this week was atrocious for kickers across the league. It was a horrifying Sunday for kickers across the league. I think they set a record for the most points missed between field goals and points after this week in the NFL.
Well, it
was some kind of ridiculous kamikaze psychobabble crap happening on kickers. I don't know what happened.
So it is December. We got to remember that. So the balls get cold. They get hard. It's almost like kicking rocks at some particular point because the balls get hard. One of the things that I don't know if they're doing in the NFL, but they used to do it before is, you have to wrap those balls up. The actual ball that you're going to kick a field goal with, you have to wrap that up in a towel and try to keep those things as warm as possible and pull it out when you're actually going to kick it, right? I don't know what they're doing, but like it seems like they're kicking rocks out there.
Is Coach calling for a little bit of deflate gate?
No, I'm not calling that. I'm calling like you got to find a way
I'm teasing.
Keep the ball's temperature, inner core temperature from freezing, right? Yeah. Because that makes the ball extraordinarily hard. So the best way to do that is to try to keep the inner core, the temperature of the ball down. I know I'm getting technical, but that's what fans like to hear about, right? Like, how do you keep a kicking ball right? It's not the same ball that they're out there throwing passes with, right?
Don't they have a microwave on the side of the field to microwave the ball before they throw it in the microwave for 15 seconds? For God's sake!
Warm it up.
You got tablets. You got a blue tent. You got exercise bicycles. You can't get a microwave out there to heat up your balls.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's the human microwave. What you do, you take a big old lineman, you put the football under jersey, man, and put it up against his gut. It'll warm that up a good 10 to 15 degrees, man.
Oh my God! Oh, by the way,
sweaty ball, man.
I need to throw a shout out. I got to throw a shout out to the Commanders cheerleaders. Did you see what they were wearing?
No, I did not.
Oh Lord, they were wearing long, black, stretchy, shiny pants.
Oh yeah, they look good.
Oh, they look sharp.
I do
They were
remember
all in
that.
black like the team. It was like a color coordinated. They look hot. I was
Yeah.
like, I had to do a couple replays on the game replay because I was looking at the cheerleaders. I didn't care. I'm like, that gum, I needed to be at that game.
So I will tell you historically.
Good job, girls.
Yeah, I will tell you historically, I've always loved Redskins cheerleaders, man, because they're hot and they freaking get on, and they usually have good outfits and stuff like that. True Redskins cheerleaders. I don't like the dance team BS.
Nah, I don't like that.
What do they call them? The freaking, I don't remember what they call them.
The dance carettes or whatever.
Freaking, I don't know.
They look good. It was sexy and it was very conservative, but it was hot. You know what I'm saying? It just
and that's what I like.
It's cold weather. It was like,
wow, conservative but hot.
They really look good, you know, and they were out there cheering.
That's right. I mean, if you're not gonna be like hot and do that, like why even have cheerleaders, right?
Yeah,
you got to have something to be like, man, we got.
The Lions learned their lesson.
I will never forget that game we went to, man. I'll never forget that game.
Tell them the story, Coach. Tell them the story.
Yeah, so it was like, I don't remember what it was, like a decade ago. Like Large Sargent and I went to go see a Lions game. Huh?
2010.
Yeah, so so it's been a decade and a half almost.
14, yeah.
So like we went to a Lions game in Detroit.
Lions Redskins
game in Detroit. We were in there and Large Sarge was in there and we were having fun. We were drinking drinks, having fun. Man. And all of a sudden, like, I think you guys won that game. But like you guys were losing for a while there, and you were like going off, and you were like hilarious, telling everybody like, "Now I know what's wrong with this team. We don't have any freaking cheerleaders."
We had Rory the Lion.
That was before you guys had cheerleaders, and I'm telling you, it was so hilarious. You had everybody rolling in that stadium on that.
It was right. Look at us now.
Once y'all got cheerleaders, y'all started winning. You got to cheer, baby.
You know, cheerleaders are a very important part of the game. They always have been. They have been since I played Pee Wee football. My sister was a cheerleader for my team, the Raiders. Parkview, Virginia. All the way through high school. Even in Germany when I played in high school. Played quarterback. Had cheerleaders. Unbelievable. So, all right. How are we going to do this week, Mike? How's it going to come up?
I'm going to tell you exactly how we're going to do this week. We're going to do really well this week because we're on a bye. We're on a bye week, so we're going to do really well. We're going to actually heal up a little bit. We're going to take the guys are probably already taking a couple of days off. They're going to show up. They're going to get a few days off. They're going to probably have a late week practice to come in, and then next week they're going to really go all out and make sure that they got a good solid game plan together. A lot of people are going to look at the cumulative effort of their film up for the year up to this point, because that's what you do in a bye week at this point is how have I been doing all year? What is my highlight reel of, and your highlight reel is not really highlights. It's every single play that you've done, that you've been on the field this year. You look at every last one of those plays for homework and you evaluate yourself. How did the team grade you out? How do you grade yourself out? And what do you need to work on and improve on?
And more importantly, you have plenty of time to game plan the next game. And who do we got?
Yeah, I think you have the Saints next?
Saints on the road.
Yeah, so we're going to go up against Chase Young.
And Jack mentioned that earlier here in the show about Chase. And I'm predicting a win on this one. We should win that game. And we must win that game. That's a must-win game, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the next after that, right? Those get a lot tougher. This team is a beatable team.
It's a beatable team, and we still got 2 more divisional games left this year. We got to play the Eagles again. We got to play the Cowboys again. And I'm not looking at the schedule right now, and I can't remember what the other team is that we're playing. But I know we have the Saints, Eagles, and Cowboys. What's the other one, Sorry? Do you have the schedule in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me. But the Saints need to win. We need to get that 9th win. We need it because the Eagles you saw what they just did to Baltimore, right? They dismantled them. They
Yeah,
dismantled Baltimore, made them look silly.
yeah. So
They're coming on strong, and they're not injured. They're not hurt. You know.
well, the other one's the Falcons. So
The Falcons, look, that's a game we also should win that game because Kirk Cousins, for whatever reason's off.
I actually think we could actually win all 4 of these games, but then again, we could also screw up these games too. But it just kind of depends. Like let's see what these guys look at coming out of the bye week. I hope they clean their act up.
Yeah.
I would like to see Lattimore get healthy and make his way onto the field because I actually think he can be a game-changing kind of defensive player.
It will help us immensely on defense.
I mean, you're talking about an X factor kind of elite dude out there that you get him going and he's like 100% healthy. It could be nasty.
That's what they were thinking, Coach. That's what they were thinking against this game. We're gonna go in and we're gonna keep him on the side. We're gonna make sure he's 100%, 110% before we bring him out.
Yeah, and if it's the plan to say, hey, we're gonna bring you back post bye week, okay, I'm ready, man. I want to see him take the field.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's chomping to get on. I'm sure he's chomping to get in uniform. So
and where did he come from?
New Orleans. Yeah, New Orleans. So
have him come back against his old team.
It's a revenge game. Yeah. Oh, he's So we should beat the Saints, and I'm going to say it again. We should beat Dallas, but we're going to Dallas this time. So Kingsbury, you need to step up your game. You need to step it up. You need to call an offense like you called this game. But listen, we came out hot and took advantage of Titans' mistakes, okay? And we capitalized. We looked good, right, on their mistakes. The third quarter was a completely different animal.
Right.
The third quarter was flat for us. And then we found some rhythm in the fourth quarter. So, okay. And people are coming into the shop when I'm working, hey, I need to get my vodka. Hey, I need to get my whiskey. Hell, the skin's in because they're at the game on, right? I'm like, yeah, well, we're up 28-0 and we need it. And they're like, what? We're 28. I'm like, yeah, and we'll probably need the 28 points. Watch. And sure enough, in the third quarter, after that halftime, they started whittling back. And I'm like, oh man, don't do this to me. And then we just buried it. We finished it.
I actually like the game. I really liked. I like that Terry McLaurin was hit a couple of times because Jaden Daniels needs to be looking his way a little bit more. I still want to see Jaden Daniels keep his chin up. He's come a long way since week 1 when he wasn't having his head up at all. He now does it, but he's not consistently keeping his chin up.
Right.
Looking at it, and maybe it's just more development. He's grown. I've seen Jaden Daniels. I'm sure you will agree, Large Sarge. I've seen a lot of growth of him this rookie year from Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. Just like I've seen a lot of growth of Sinistrel since the beginning of the year. Those are 2 players as rookies who have really grown and developed really well.
Yep.
It's I don't know. It's very, very promising. So I'm going to be pulling for them. I think we've got a very good chance to win against the Saints. They've been down more than they've been up, and if we're even playing half as well as we played this week, that should be a win for us. Close or not close, who cares? It should be a win, right? Dallas for Jack Miller. Happy birthday, brother.
Dallas should be a revenge game for us, and we should take it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. Could we beat Philadelphia? The last 3 games we played them, they've all been close when they shouldn't have been, right? Last year, the twice was close when it shouldn't have been, and this year was close when it should. I mean, we look better than the Ravens did against them. Amazing. It's mind-numbing. So for whatever reason, could we beat them? Sure, any given day. Do I think we will? No, I'm going to count that one as a loss.
I think if they approach it differently, I think the secret to beating the Eagles is you got to play tighter on the line. You've got to really play the run. You got to get Saquon Barkley, and you've got to start gang tackling that guy and bring him down. And you got to let him beat you through the air. And if you do have a healthy Lattimore who can shut guys down with Sinistrel and those guys, you can afford to put some guys out there on an island a little bit. Because you really want to shut down not only Barkley, but you want to be able to shut down Hurts from being able to scramble out.
Yeah,
right?
Lattimore in our mix does change the dynamic of that game for
It
us.
does.
It does absolutely change the dynamic of that game for us. So we'll see. We'll see how we get. But I want to see us get 9 games. I want to see us lock up a wild card spot. And gosh forbid that 10 is even possible, guaranteeing us,
Yeah. I want to be fair, though. At the beginning of the season, if we said that this team, like we said this numerous times at the beginning of the season, if this team got to 8 wins, it was a successful season.
I called 9.
Well, you wanted 9 because you wanted a playoff berth.
No, I called 9 because I thought that's what we could do.
Well, I mean, that too. But, like, most people had us like, hey, if we could get to 8 and double our record from last year.
Oh, yeah, it would be I
would define that as a success.
It's a huge success.
And we're at 8 now. So I think that this team for this year has been successful.
Yes.
Right? But we also believe that this team certainly has 9, 10 wins in them and can give that wild card thing. And then it just really, really kind of, it's all momentum based and confidence at that point.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
All right.
Jack is saying 11 wins. It's possible, Jack. It is possible.
It's very possible. I mean, can we win 3 out of the last 4? Yeah. It's possible, right?
They've shown they can do it. You can put up 42 points in the game. You can win.
That's it.
So,
and especially with like what Lord Sarge was saying when he was spitting out the stats at the beginning of this episode about how strong the Titans defense was, right? Very good analysis there. And if we could break that down and make them look like, hey, those stats don't matter, then like we can put that up. I still think like a real huge defensive game changer is Lattimore if we can get that dude healthy. And then if we can keep B-Rob healthy, this is a team that can definitely get that 11 wins there, Jack. But, hey, all of us want it, right? We all want it.
Oh, man.
We all want it, man.
You are not good.
I definitely would like to see us beat Dallas. Gosh, I'd like to see us beat Dallas.
We set some records again, this week with that game. Coach Mad Mike, we did.
Didn't we?
We haven't been. There was a couple stats in there that took us all the way back to the 90s.
Okay.
So the most points in the first quarter, the most. There was a couple things that you have to go all the way back to the 90s to look at for a performance on a defense that was supposed to give us a hell of a run. So I was really impressed with.
Yeah,
the coaching.
Very good job.
Coached a really well coached game, and I'm hoping that the extra time here on the bye week is going to give us that same momentum going into New Orleans, and we come out with New Orleans. I think we get to 9. I think everything's on the table at that point. I expect the Eagles to win out. They're on a hot streak, so it's going to be us and the Eagles. And we need to beat Dallas. We need to beat Dallas. We've got to beat them.
I just want to beat them so bad. A lot of Dallas people, and they get annoying when they win. They get very annoying.
Boy, do they ever.
All right, Lord, sorry, we got to wrap this show up, man.
All righty, boss.
Hey, Jack Miller, it is so awesome to have you on here, as always. For all you guys that are listening still, invite a friend, get on back on here, and let's talk football again. Until then, this is Football Cycle. We're out of here, baby.
We're out every week.
Let's watch football. Enjoy the bye week. You can still eat